One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.
This is a terribly simple question for an incredibly complex and challenging process. But is there one facet of this brand build that you guys have found more difficult than any other or than you expected?
Difficult, hard, and really our greatest opportunity is that China and really the rest of the globe don't really understand how you combine elite academic development with elite athletic, right? Everywhere else in the world, those things are very separate, and they're very separate in China. So that's the most challenging thing about building a conference brand there, and conference brand building is difficult as it is. I think that's the biggest challenge. I would say it's also the biggest opportunity because what we've found through our government relationships, through conversations with our Alibaba partners, all the way up to Jack Ma, who's very focused on making sure that their interests align with Beijing and the Chinese government, is that the Chinese government is very focused on this as a priority. And for a lot of reasons, wellness, development, and otherwise, they would like to see a development structure through higher ed that focuses on athletic development. We learned last year that, as we understand it, in Chinese schools now, at age 12, I think it is, or thereabouts, you're now actually required to take a basketball test. So you have to prove that you've developed a certain number of basketball skills to go on to the next level. Now, that's different than our model, but it shows that China is now thinking about the athletic piece alongside the academic piece. So long term, the importance of having the government invested in whatever you're trying to accomplish in China is so important. We think that will, one, give us a really strong position in the marketplace, and in some cases differentiate us from the other sports leagues that have done very well there. For example, the NBA, which is a monster in China, has done remarkably well and had a great vision, executed it so well. Or the other professional sports leagues. One of the things that we can differentiate ourselves with is we have this strong connection to the government because we speak to the educational piece of this as well. So we need to use that to our advantage. So so long and short of it is the biggest challenge is brand building as a college athletics conference, but I think that's also our largest opportunity in China specifically.
Your all's digital plays over there with what I guess we would call OTT here, and that's such a hot button topic. Are you all learning things through those relationships that can be applied and make your operation in the States more effective, or are the marketplaces just that vastly different?
Great question. I think we're learning some things. I don't think they're directly correlated just because the Chinese market is very different. Although, in some respects, if you look at the landscape there, you're almost seeing a little bit of a leapfrog effect. So, China was very much, 10 years ago behind the rest of the Western world and the U.S., more specifically related to cable television distribution and sports on cable television. And what we've seen happen is that they've sort of leapfrog building up these cable systems, and because of the massive growth of mobile and broadband, have jumped really to the digital sphere. So you're seeing a more robust market for digital rights in China. One, just because of the immediate scale, but two, because of the engagement there. Because a lot of these consumers in China never had a cable television. But if you live in rural China, in a city of 20 million people that never had cable systems built out and only got CCTV over the air, you have a mobile phone, you have a tablet, and you have connectivity. If you don't today, you're going to have it very soon. And it's very much a democratizing play as well, because the Chinese government obviously has their own way of managing information. But when it's at the edge on mobile, it's really it's undeniable that it's sort of a pull dynamic with the consumer there, where they're gonna get the content, and the content's going to be valuable. And we've seen, even in a very short time distributing our digital content there, some pretty impressive numbers in terms of viewership. And I think it just scratches the surface of how big the market is. So I think there's some analogs, and actually going forward, there might be some lessons we can apply, just because I think there is this leapfrog effect that's happened.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.